go? Good? Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Van Dale. I'm the Public Information Officer with the City of Duluth. Certainly, this is a very sad day. This is something that shakes our community. It shakes our police officers. It shakes our first responders. It shakes our chiefs and a lot of us within the City of Duluth. We certainly wish that we were here on better circumstances. I did want to let you know, ahead of getting started with Chief Tusken, that Mayor Larson is out of town. She's one of 8 mayors that are participating in a Harvard summit, and is very sad to not be with all of you today. So I did want to read a statement that is a partial statement from her. She will have a longer statement on her social media pages, but her statement is, on every level, this incident is deeply painful for our community. Especially impacted are the neighbors of East Hillside and first responders. Thank you to the neighbors for taking such good care of one another and for knowing the beautiful parts of the Berry family. Thank you to the Duluth Police Department for answering the call of public safety. I am so sorry for what you experienced, which is deeply traumatic. As a parent and a member of the family, it is wrenching to consider what the Berry family might be feeling. There is only loss to every part of this story. To the Berry family, our community mourns with you, and we share in your pain, because your loss is our community's loss. I also want to provide a little information about the services that are provided to the Duluth Police Department. When something traumatic like this happens, there are a magnitude of services that are offered. There are services that include peer support, which was activated yesterday for those that responded to the scene. There's an employee assistance program, professional psychological services, and chaplain services. Those also include one-to-one opportunities for staff, which we find is really helpful. This is not something that these staff members are going to forget anytime soon. This is something that they will be doing. I believe also Chief Tusken can talk about the efforts that we'll be activating, and I think are going to be activated even within a few minutes to community members that were in the immediate area. So you are going to get full details of the scene, including the victims' names and information about the suspect. I will still preface that this is an open and active investigation, and so the information that you will get from us in the form of the press release and then also from the chief is the information that we're able to give you at this time. We will open it up to questions and answers afterwards. So at this time, I'd like to have Chief Tusken come up. Chief? Thank you.
Appreciate it, Kate. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you all for coming and covering this important and heartbreaking story here in Duluth. My name is Mike Tusken. I serve as the police chief for the city of Duluth. As Kate said, it's certainly not the way that we wanted to invite many of you up who are not from our area. It is a terribly traumatic event for certainly for the Berry family, certainly for the East Hillside, certainly if you're a Duluthian, certainly if you are somebody who lives in this region or state. We are all have really heavy hearts. We all certainly are mourning with and expressing our condolences to the Berry family, and it's just a sad day. My purpose today is to give you a prepared statement that will hopefully answer many of the questions that you will have. We will open it up for questions afterwards. Know that it is an active and ongoing investigation, and we are in really only about 24 hours into this investigation, and so we may or may not be able to answer your questions, but we will to the greatest extent that we can. So I will offer a prepared statement. After the prepared statement, I will take questions, and we will hopefully will give everyone the closure, the understanding of this to the best of our ability. So just after 12:12 p.m. yesterday, April 20, the Duluth Police Department responded to a report of an individual experiencing a mental health crisis. The call had originated just after 11:18 in our neighboring community, Hermantown, as a check welfare call. Hermantown police were dispatched to the 4100 block of Timber Lane Drive to check in on a Brandon Taylor Cole Skogstad. After a search, Hermantown police were not able to locate or make contact with Cole Skogstad. After additional outreach, Hermantown police made contact with a family member who provided information that Cole Skogstad had sent a message saying that he intended to harm himself and other family members. It is believed that the message that had been sent to the family member was later posted on a public social media page. At that time, the Hermantown Police Department contacted the Duluth Police Department to tell them of the situation and provided a Duluth address that Cole Skogstad's aunt and uncle owned on the 700 block of East 12th Street here in Duluth. Duluth police officers had received additional information that Cole Skogstad had access to a weapon. At 12:29 p.m. yesterday, Duluth police officers approached the home, knocking on the door, and as they were knocking, heard what they believed to be a single gunshot. Duluth police did a tactical retreat and requested mutual aid from the Superior Police Department and St. Louis County Sheriff's Office to assist with securing the scene. Shortly after 3 p.m., Duluth police were able to enter the home after using robots and drones to assist with searching the premise. Despite these efforts, areas of the residence were unable to be secured through this method and had to be searched by members of the Duluth Police Department Tactical Response Team. During that search, officers found a total of 5 bodies, including the suspect and a family dog, all deceased. After preliminary investigation, the Duluth Police Department believed that the suspect is responsible for the death of 4 victims and the family dog. The cause of death is from an apparent gunshot wounds while the victims were sleeping. Officers believe that this incident is a murder-suicide. A single weapon was found in close proximity to the suspect. Both police departments from the Hermantown and Duluth Police Department searched 911 call history to determine if there had been any previous calls indicating a pattern of behavior or concerns regarding the suspect. There were no calls to indicate any previous concern. The names of the victim and the suspect were withheld yesterday due to our desire and need to notify the next of kin and to receive the cause of death from the medical examiner's office. The victims are all from Duluth. The victims' names are Rihanna Lou Berry, date of birth 6/17 of 1977, age 44. Sean Christopher Berry, date of birth 10/26 of 1974, age 47. Shyway Elizabeth Berry, date of birth 7/17/2009, age 12. Sadie Lucille Berry, date of birth 6/19/2012, age 9. The suspect full name is Brandon Taylor Cole Skogstad. He was born on February 1, 1993, and is 29 years old. Sorry about that. Again, I will repeat kind of what Kate has said, and I have said this is an open and active investigation. There is not additional information available at this time. That said, I do want to give this opportunity to all of you to answer any questions that you might have.
Can you talk about the relationship between the suspect and the victims? Our understanding is that he was their nephew.
That is correct. So he was a nephew, yes, to the two Barrys who were older.
Making the girls his cousins.
Cousins, that's correct.
Chief, do we know if he was staying at that address in the hillside, or was he staying at the Hermantown address?
Yeah, so his current address at the time was the Hermantown address. We have information that he had previously had been staying at that residence, at the Duluth residence previously as well.
Our understanding is, you kind of talked about this before, but that there was a confession posted on Facebook. Was that what led you to the welfare check originally?
What led us to that welfare check was the result of working in cooperation with the Hermantown Police Department. They pointed us in that direction. We certainly have access to information to bring us there. Certainly during that investigation, we did have access to that post and were aware of it while we were doing the searching to secure the property.
Chief, were there other calls regarding gunshots, maybe the night before? Anything in that maybe people had heard?
We did not have any calls that would have indicated that there were gunshots the night before.
Chief, do you know what time the victims might have been shot?
I would only have to speculate, and so at this time, I really would not want to provide that information. We may have a better indication from the medical examiner's report.
But they were all sleeping, so speculative overnight.
Yeah, overnight, correct.
Any indication about motive at this time? I know obviously it was a report of a mental health.
No,
crisis.
and sometimes these are really difficult investigations, and sometimes that is very hard to peel back those layers to find that out. And so right now, it would be really entirely speculative for me to say what that motive is at this moment.
Was this a family heavily involved in the Duluth community in some way? Have you heard of them before, met any of them before?
I had not. One of the things that going through the house that our officers indicated, part of it that was really hard for them was that the walls all had photos of the family. So it seems like a really tight family unit, and makes this even more heartbreaking and tragic.
How are your officers doing now?
It's I got to tell you, it's tough on all of us. It's tough on our cops. Some our police officers, a lot of them, they have families, and anytime you go into a situation like this and you see that tragedy, it is terribly heart-wrenching, and you can't unsee it. So it's very difficult.
Is this the largest number of people that have been killed at one time in Duluth? I know there's been a few triple homicides in the 90s. Are we in the unfortunate place of reaching a new?
Yeah, a good question. So my experience dates back 30 years. I've got a lieutenant in the room here who's been here 32 years. We have not seen that, certainly in our time. And so really, without going back into the archives of our history beyond that point, but in 32 years, we haven't seen anything like this, where we've had 4 victims of a homicide.
Chief, were the victims actually found in their beds?
They were, yes.
Not for my story, but just as a human being, in your experience, wouldn't people wake up?
Yeah, it's, I really can't speak to certainly, sleeping habits, but it, in such a way that this happened, it does not appear that anyone was not nestled in and cuddled into their bed.
Can you tell us what kind of a weapon was used?
We recovered a 9mm handgun.
We had heard that the family had moved from Alaska in the last couple of years, so it appears that they're not from this area. How difficult was it to notify next of kin?
We were able to notify next of kin, and as far as speaking to where they were previously, I can't do that right now.
It seemed to move really quick, Chief, from 11/18 to 12/29, welfare check, all the time, but this one seemed to move really fast, probably thanks to some social media sharing. And anything else you want to add maybe about how the use of technology maybe helped you kind of find
Yeah.
him right away?
Yeah, police work has gotten easier in some regards over the years because we have access to cell phone records and pings and social media. A lot of things are in social media. We also have the ability to use drones and robots and things to help us to be safer in our searches. So there's a lot of technology that we have that certainly when I started 30 years ago, we would not have had access to. So does that aid our investigation? Absolutely. Absolutely does.
At the scene, you can see two boarded up windows in the back of the home. A neighbor had told us that he saw the SWAT team or the tactical team break into those windows. Can you explain what was unfolding and why it
Yeah.
happened that way?
So when we do and breach doors and windows, part of the reason for that is for us to have access. Again, we were flying a drone yesterday, so it's easier and safer for us to have access flying a drone or using a robot than it is to put humans in there, especially when we thought that there was an active threat with somebody who was potentially armed. So part of what you see is damage that was done for us to gain access so that we had opportunity to look inside the house before we actually sent people in. And despite that, we still had to send our tactical team in to do a room-by-room search because we were not able to access all the places in the house.
Any other questions?
Anything else you'd like to share with us that we haven't asked you?
No, I hope that this was, we're very comprehensive. Again, this is a tragedy for Minnesota, tragedy for certainly the city of Duluth and for this community. And getting the facts out and having the facts be out has started some closure and some healing for this to move forward. I just ask that certainly all of you have us in your thoughts and prayers.
Chief, if I may, I apologize. There are a few people that I want to point out that are in the room with us. Certainly, there's a large number of DPD staff that are behind you, our city attorney, several of the members of the team that's been working very hard on this. We also have CAO Noah Shuckman, who is here with us, and also have City Council President Eric Forsman, who wanted to just mention a few words. So if you could, before we end, Eric, will you please come up?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Vice President Janet Kennedy and I from the council sent out a statement earlier today, and essentially it's that our hearts are shattered over these past 24 hours. No family or community should have to go through what has been happening over the last 24 hours, and it's hard to put into words the sadness that I feel as a counselor, as a Duluthian, and as a father. And that was compounded when the names were released, because these folks were my neighbors in Lakeside for a period of time. And I knew Rihanna and her daughter Shyway, and I knew that she sold cookies, and it's horrible. So I just want to say that our hearts and prayers go out to the whole family and the entire neighborhood where this happened. But we are a strong city, and we take care of each other, and I know that we'll pull together as a community and get help for the folks who need it right now. And I just want to say I'm incredibly grateful to the Duluth Police Department and all of our other first responders who were there yesterday, because I know that was a very hard day for them. And I just want to say I'm personally thankful for the work that our officers do every single day in keeping us safe, and for the things that they have to go through, and anything the City Council can do to provide more mental health resources for our officers. And I just want to give kudos to the leadership here who have destigmatized that for our folks over the last few years, so that they have the ability to get the help they need so that they can keep serving us. But I'm just going to close by saying that, things like this happen far too often in our country, and as leaders at the local, the state, and the federal levels, we just have to pause and reflect when things like this happen, to just see what else could be done, either in prevention or as far as gun violence goes, to make our communities safer. And You know, as the council president, I'll certainly look forward to working with our administration, our public safety leaders on if there's anything that we can do to help this. But I just want to close again by saying my sincere condolences to the family for your loss, and we're with you.